So hi everybody and welcome back to C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 279, and in this video we make an introduction to copy constructor and assignment operator. And for that purpose we go here to the copy constructor, and we will not talk about the syntax right now because we have to understand what copy means in C++. And for this purpose we watch here this example and go here to my paint, and we will go through these little examples and we ignore here the copy constructor. We just need this struct actually, or this class for demonstration purposes. So let's get started. First of all, what I want to do is create an object. Why I want to create an object? Because this is the object which I want copy. So what I'm doing is, first of all, here is number one. I start here, I take here A, and this here is representing the struct here, but I added here one more pointer and ignored here the constructor and all this other kinds of stuff. Let's say I'm creating an object. Okay, how we create an object, we know this. We take the type, this is A, variable name, I called it original, and now I have an object. And you can see here is just the default constructor. This is also a default constructor, and which means this will be all time the same if I use A. And yeah, that's fine. And now because I'm talking about copy, so how I can copy this just created object. And there is an easy way. If you just created this object here and never changed anything in it, this means you can just create a new variable like I did here, test, and take the same type, A, and this one is called also creating an object, but actually this one is the same as the original one. And you can say this is already a copy because at start they are the same as long as you have not used a custom constructor with parameters, with different parameters and something like that. But you can see if you have all the default values, they will be the same. But this kind of stuff is not called a copy. This is just called creating two different objects which are the same. And we are consider this is a copy more or less, one of the other one. Okay, that's fine, but let's go now to step 2. Let's say I have my original object here, and now I'm changing one of these values, and let's start here with int n, and I set it to 543. Now this original object here is not the same as my test object here. And how I can make now a copy from this point to here, to this test. And the easiest way, of course, as you can see, because this we are using here both the struct A here and here, which means the definition, which means all what we have defined here in the struct is the same. So that means if here is a int in the original one, int n, then I know because I'm using A, here is also a int n in the other object which I want copy, which means I can just make an assignment and I know what to assign because it is called here int n and it is also called here int n. The only thing what I have to use now is the object name test. For example, here I say, okay, we have assigned here the value original n 543, and this test n here needs also to be 503 anyhow. So you can make this manual with hand, which is not very good. The better way is probably use just the assignment operator, and you can see I say, okay, test.n, so I get to my object, I access my parameter n, and I say assign the original n from here, which means it will assign the value here, and this one is now again the same. But careful, this one here, the third step here, is not called creating a copy. It is just called we are assigning the value from one object to another object. But this assignment here is actually that what you do in copying an object. You just assign from the original one here, let's say int n, if it changed to the one which you want copy the value, because all the other things are will stay the same. The int n will stay the same. The int ptr will still be the same. The only thing which is changing are the values. So when we are copying in C++, we are actually only changing the values, and we have to copy the values from the original one to the one which we want copy. And that is actually the compiler later for us doing, or you are creating a function, or you're doing it by hand, or you're creating a copy constructor. And here we will learn some differentiations, because the copy constructor is not the same thing what I showed you here, number 3. This here is using the copy assignment operator. This one here is called, yes, we are using the assignment operator. This one is a special operator. This here, we'll talk about this one as well. And the copy constructor is using a little bit of different syntax, but in the end, it is exactly doing the same what I just mentioned. It is just taking the members here from the original one and their values, and then assigning it to the copy one. This is in the end what it means copying in C++, just assigning the values and no more. That is very simple and normally not a problem. Yeah, straightforward, but careful. There will be problems, and there will be some problems. And one of these problems is when we watch now my second variable here in the struct, which I added here, which is a pointer. And here you can see, let's go here to number 4. For this purpose, first of all, I created outside. Here it's outside, it's not in the class here. A variable name, telephone number, and then I assigned it a value. All right. Then I said in the 5th step, okay, this original, my original object here, I want to assign this pointer this telephone number, because I can do this, right? They have the same type, int, perfect, and then I can call original.ptr and then assign the telephone number here. All right, now my pointer is now pointing to this telephone number. And we just learned how easy it is to make a copy. We need just to assign now this value to the copied value, right? Let's say test should have also this value here. What I'm doing is just assign this one as well to test, and this is now a copy of this one, right? So with other words, I take test ptr, this one here, which is right now null ptr, and then I assign it this original ptr, which is pointing here. So with other words, now they are the same again. In the 6th step, they should be the same again. And indeed, they are the same. But what is the problem here? Think about a pointer again. What is the problem with pointers? So the problem with pointer is they are pointing, if they are the same, to the same address, which means this one here, let's say this number 7 here, or this telephone number here is this number here. Let's shorten this one up, 55 ... So this one means this one here. And this one is pointing, the pointer is now pointing here when I created this one here, and the other one, because I just copied this one here, is pointing now here as well. So they are the same. But we are talking about what? We want to make a copy. We want, and what means a copy again? A copy means that I have an original object, and then I have another object which is a copy of the original object. That's so fine. But what happens now if I change here in my copied object, which is test? I call this test for test purposes, because I want not change my original values. That's why I make a copy. and then I have an object for testing around. I can change the values, and then when I say it's okay, it's good. When I say it's not okay, I just delete this object. But what happens here then in our pointer? The answer is, if I change later in my test object this pointer value, and we know how we make this with differencing, this one will change not only the test, my copy object, it will also change the value here of this PTR, which means later this test is my copy, and later I have tested enough and I get rid of this one. This pointer will be destroyed. That's okay. But this pointer is pointing still here. And let's say I have changed here the value to 7. Then this value, my original value, is now 7, which I don't want. So what we want normally when we make a copy, what we want is normally that this 7 here, let's say this pointer here, is creating its own. Here's the number again, 5 point, this one here. And when I copy this one here, I want that this one creates also its separate 5 and point, so on. Because then I can mess up with this pointer as long as I want. I can change this one to 7 or what I want. And then I can delete it later, and this original value is still here. And you can see this will be one of these problems which we have to solve and to discuss a little bit later more. But again, copy in general, it's very easy. It means just assignment. We are just assigning one value from the original one to the other one. And now we will discuss all these ways how to assign this. And we start with the copy constructor and copy assignment. We will see what the difference here is and how this does work. All right, I think that's it for this little introduction. It's a little bit confusing, but the good point is it's very easy, because if you understand that copy in C++ means just assigning values from the original to the other one, that means copying. But important is how we make this in a function, and that's why we are talking then later about this copy constructors, copy assignment operator, and even your custom functions and so on. All right, with that said, if you have any questions, like all time, write it in the comment section. See you in the next video where we start with the syntax for copy constructor. See you there. Bye, good luck, and like all time, have fun and never give up.